In the shadow of a shattered Europe, France harbored an audacious dream to conquer the North Atlantic's fury with a liner that would redefine maritime supremacy. The year was 1925, and the air in Saint-Nazaire hung heavy with the scent of salt and molten steel. Gray skies loomed over the Penhoe shipyards, where the rhythmic clang of hammers on rivets echoed like a heartbeat awakening from the Great War's silence. Workers, their faces etched with determination, scaled skeletal frames under the chill coastal wind, their boots crunching on gravel paths slick with morning dew. This was no mere shipbuilding, it was a national resurrection, a floating emblem of Gallic ingenuity poised to challenge the ocean's unforgiving swells. The SS Île de France emerged from this crucible as a technical marvel, her hull a bold gamble against the waves that had claimed so many before. At 791 feet in length and 91 feet in beam, she displays 43,153 gross registered tons, a behemoth designed for stability in the roughest seas. 4 steam turbines, geared to quadruple screws, promised a service speed of 23.5 knots, harnessing over 50,000 horsepower to slice through currents with precision. Engineers had reinforced her steel plating with innovative riveting techniques, ensuring the hull could flex without fracturing under the Atlantic's pounding. Below the waterline, her form incorporated subtle hydrodynamic refinements, reducing drag and vibration that plagued older vessels. Yet, this engineering prowess was not born in isolation, it stemmed from a 1912 postal contract with the French government, delayed by war but revived with fervor. The ship's profile, sleek and purposeful, hinted at the aesthetic revolution within, drawing from the 1925 Paris Exposition Internationale des Arts Décoratifs. Her lines evoke modernity, with funnels raked at angles that caught the light like sculptures, and decks promising promenades under starlit skies. The glow of acetylene torches illuminated the nights, casting long shadows on teak planks that would soon hum with the footsteps of the elite. Amid this industrial symphony, human stories unfolded with poignant nostalgia. Shipyard laborers, many veterans of the trenches, poured their souls into every weld, viewing the liner as a beacon of peace and prosperity. Families gathered at the yard's edge, children wide-eyed at the growing giant that symbolized France's rebound. A passenger's anticipation captured the era spirit, promotional brochures painted visions of transatlantic bliss, where the sea's roar faded into luxurious calm. According to the New York Times on March 15, 1926, no wine at launching of new French liner, even larger vessel than Paris's planned, highlighting the sober ceremony that marked her entry into the water, a departure from tradition amid economic restraint. Captain Joseph Blanchart's early logs noted the crew's pride, writing of a ship that will carry not just passengers, but the hopes of a nation across the waves. As the hull took shape, whispers of risk lingered in the fog-shrouded mornings. Would this technical audacity hold against the ocean's wrath? Yet, beneath the triumphant launch lay a profound technical gamble, as the Île de France's hull design pushed the boundaries of maritime engineering into uncharted waters. In the cavernous expanse of the Penhoe shipyards, the air thickened with the acrid tang of welding sparks and lubricating oil. Scaffolds creaked under the weight of men in overalls, their lanterns flickering against the immense steel plates that formed her skeleton. The North Atlantic breeze whistled through gaps in the structure, carrying the distant crash of waves as a constant reminder of the forces she must withstand. This was the forge where innovation met peril, the hull's contours emerging like a leviathan from the depths. At the heart of this endeavor was the hull's revolutionary construction, a fusion of strength and elegance that balanced displacement with speed. Crafted from high-tensile steel, her plates were riveted in overlapping seams to distribute stress evenly, a technique refined to combat the torsional forces of heavy gales. The design incorporated a double bottom for buoyancy, extending 763 feet along her keel, with watertight compartments engineered to isolate flooding, a lesson hard learned from wartime disasters. Engineers debated late into the night over blueprints, optimizing the hull's camber and shear to minimize pitching in rough seas. Powering this giant were 4 Parsons steam turbines, delivering 60,000 shaft horsepower through gear quadruple screws, allowing for precise maneuvering and a top speed nearing 24 knots. Vibration dampeners, innovative rubber mounts beneath the engines, promised a smoother ride, reducing the deck's tremble to a gentle hum. Aesthetically, the hull's streamlined form transitioned seamlessly into the superstructure, with a raked bow that cleaved waves like a knife, and funnels positioned for optimal smoke dispersal, their Art Deco caps gleaming in polished brass. The promenade decks, lined with varnished teak that released a warm, woody aroma underfoot, invited contemplation of the horizon, where the ship's profile cut a silhouette of grace against sunset hues. Human elements infused this mechanical ballet with warmth and resolve. Crew members, selected for their expertise, trained amid the din, sharing tales of past voyages while calibrating gauges. Families of the builders picnicked nearby, the laughter of children mingling with the hiss of steam tests, fostering a communal bond. From John Maxton Graham's The Only Way to Cross, we glimpsed the era shift, the divide from which point ocean liner decorators reached forward rather than going back, underscoring how the Île de France's engineering heralded a new aesthetic ethos. Shipyard records reveal a near miss during hull assembly, where a worker's quick thinking averted a collapse. As noted in contemporary logs, the integrity of the frame held, a testament to French precision. As the engines roared to life and trials, international eyes turned with envy. What rivalries would this giant ignite? As the Île de France's keel settled into place, a clandestine rivalry ignited across Europe, pitting French ingenuity against the maritime giants of Britain and Germany in a bid for Atlantic dominance. In opulent boardrooms along the Seine, under the soft glow of brass lamps and amid the haze of cigar smoke, executives of the Compagnie Générale Transatlantique pored over intelligence reports. The Parisian air carried whispers of espionage, while across the Channel, British yards buzzed with similar fervor. Rain-slicked streets outside reflected the tension, as nations vied to capture the lucrative transatlantic trade, their ships symbols of prestige and power. This contest drove technical advancements that elevated the Île de France above her peers. Unlike the Cunard Line's Aquitania, with her traditional quadruple expansion engines, the French liner boasted oil-fired turbines for greater efficiency, reducing fuel consumption by nearly 20% on crossings. Her hull, engineered with finer lines for reduced resistance, allowed her to maintain 23 knots in conditions that slowed rivals. Comparisons were stark. German vessels like the Bremen pushed for speed with diesel motors, but the Île de France countered with a balanced design, incorporating a bulbous boat precursor to enhance hydrodynamic flow. Navigation systems included advanced gyro compasses, superior to the magnetic variants on older ships, ensuring precise headings amid foggy expanses. Aesthetically, she diverged from the Victorian clutter of competitors, embracing Art Deco's clean geometries, her superstructure painted in crisp white and black, evoking a modernist arrow piercing the waves. Interiors previewed this shift, with salons featuring Lilique glass panels that diffused light into ethereal patterns, contrasting the heavy draperies of British liners. The promenade decks, wide and unobstructed, allowed passengers to feel the salt spray and wind's caress, blending functionality with sensory delight. Human narratives fueled this national drama, as engineers and diplomats alike staked reputations on success. Stories abound of French spies infiltrating Hamburg yards, relaying blueprints that informed counter-designs. Passengers, drawn by national pride, booked passages in advance, their letters brimming with excitement. A 1926 diary entry from a prospective traveler noted, "The Île de France promises to eclipse the Mauritania's faded glory, carrying us swiftly to new worlds." The New York Times echoed this sentiment in its coverage of the launch, reporting, "France's new liner enters the fray against British stalwarts, her innovations a secret weapon in the speed wars." Crew members, many poached from rival lines, shared tales of past voyages, their loyalty now pledged to this floating ambassador. With rival shadows lengthening, attention turned below decks. What engine room secrets would secure her edge? Deep within the Île de France's emerging form, hidden innovations in the engine room promised to outpace the competition, but at the risk of catastrophic failure if unproven designs faltered. The Penhoë yard's lower levels hummed with secrecy, the air thick with the metallic bite of grease and the low rumble of test machinery. Sparks flew from welders' torches, illuminating cavernous spaces where massive turbines took shape amid the clang of tools and the drip of condensation from overhead pipes. Workers, clad in soot-streaked coveralls, navigated narrow catwalks, their footsteps echoing in the dim, oil-scented confines that would soon propel this colossus across oceans. These innovations centered on the power plant's core, 4 geared steam turbines, each a masterpiece of precision engineering, driving quadruple screws through reduction gears for optimal torque distribution. Unlike coal-fired boilers on older ships, her oil burners achieved higher steam pressures, up to 300 pounds per square inch, enhancing efficiency and allowing sustained speeds without frequent refueling. Vibration, a perennial foe, was mitigated by dynamic balancers and flexible mountings, ensuring the deck above remained steady even at full throttle. The engine room's layout incorporated automated controls, with gauges monitoring temperatures that could soar to 500 degrees Fahrenheit, preventing overheating that had doomed lesser vessels. Aesthetically, even this mechanical heart reflected Art Deco flair. Polished brass fittings gleamed under electric lights, and streamlined ductwork channeled steam with elegant curves, transforming the space from industrial chaos to ordered beauty. The funnels, connected via insulated uptakes, expelled exhaust with minimal soot, preserving the pristine decks where teakwood released its rich, resinous aroma under the sun. The human toll of these secrets added layers of nostalgia. Engineers labored through nights, their families waiting in nearby cottages scented with fresh baked bread, sharing stories of innovation's perils. One builder recalled a turbine test where pressure spiked dangerously, averted only by swift valve adjustments. From the sea trials on May 29, 1927, Captain Blankhart's log detailed, engines performed admirably, achieving 25 knots with minimal strain, a vindication of our hidden labors. John Maxton Graham's account in The Only Way to Cross captures this. The Île de France's machinery represented a leap, blending power with the subtlety of French craftsmanship. Crew trainees, drawn from maritime academies, bonded over the thrill, their diaries noting the engine's rhythmic pulse as a living heartbeat. As trials concluded successfully, anticipation built for the real test. How would she fare on her maiden high-speed dash across the Atlantic? On June 22, 1927, as the Île de France slipped her moorings at Le Havre, an undercurrent of tension gripped the crew, for this first high-speed crossing would either crown her a legend or expose fatal flaws. Sunny skies bathed the docks in golden light, where crowds in summer attire waved handkerchiefs, their cheers mingling with the deep bellow of the ship's whistle. Ropes groaned under strain before splashing into the harbor's brackish waters, and the funnels belched initial puffs of smoke, carrying the sharp scent of burning oil seaward. The deck vibrated gently as turbines engaged, propelling her into the channel's gentle swells. Technically, the voyage tested every innovation under real Atlantic conditions. Navigation relied on wireless direction finders and chronometers calibrated to Greenwich precision, plotting courses that dodged icebergs lurking in northern latitudes. The turbines, pushing her to 23.69 knots average, hummed with efficiency, their heat exchangers maintaining boiler integrity against saltwater corrosion. Hull stresses were monitored via strain gauges, confirming the reinforced plating's resilience as waves slapped the bow with rhythmic thuds. In rougher patches, the ship's stabilizers, early anti-roll tanks, minimized listing, a boon over rivals wallowing. Aesthetically, passengers reveled in the fresh grandeur. The grand staircase's marble steps gleamed under crystal chandeliers, casting prismatic light that danced on silk-paneled walls. Cabins, scented with lavender from linens, offered portholes framing the endless blue, while the veranda cafe's wicker chairs invited lingering over coffee amid the sea's salty breeze. Human experiences wove a tapestry of excitement and apprehension. First-class luminaries like Maurice Chevalier mingled in salons, his laughter echoing as he quipped about the ship's swiftness. Steerage passengers, immigrants bound for new lives, shared cramped quarters filled with the aroma of shared meals and hopeful conversations. A diary from one such traveler described, "The ocean's vastness awes, but this vessel's steadiness comforts like a mother's embrace." Upon arrival in New York on June 29, the New York Times heralded, "French liner Île de France docks here on maiden trip, gala welcome for speedy crossing," noting her triumphant reception with fireworks and bands. Crew logs praised the seamless performance, with the captain writing of nerves steadied by engineering excellence. Yet, as acclaim echoed, a deeper wonder emerged. Why did her interiors transcend mere seafaring, evoking a floating dream? Beyond the mechanical triumphs, a deeper enchantment awaited aboard the Île de France, where her interiors transformed the harsh reality of ocean travel into an ethereal dreamscape far removed from the utilitarian confines of a mere vessel. In the grand foyer, under the soft, diffused light of frosted glass panels, the air carried the subtle polish of beeswax on mahogany, while the gentle sway of the ship evoked a floating palace adrift on endless blue. Chandeliers hung like suspended stars, their crystals tinkling faintly with each roll of the waves, casting warm amber glows on marble floors that gleamed like polished ice. This was Paris at sea, where the North Atlantic's chill yielded to the inviting warmth of velvet upholstery and the faint scent of fresh flowers arranged in silver vases. The design's genius lay in its Art Deco purity, a deliberate departure from the cluttered opulence of pre-war liners, embracing geometric simplicity and modern materials that harmonized with the ship's engineering. Pierre Patout's vision created a 3-deck high dining salon, its vast space supported by innovative steel girders concealed behind sleek paneling, allowing uninterrupted vistas through arched windows. Lalique glass reliefs adorned walls, their frosted motifs of stylized waves diffusing electric light into soft halos, while chrome accents on furniture reflected the ocean sparkle. Technically, this aesthetic integrated with function, the interior's lightweight alloys reduced overall displacement, aiding speed without sacrificing stability. Cabins featured built-in wardrobes of burrowed walnut, their curves echoing the hull's hydrodynamics, and bathrooms boasted porcelain fixtures with hot running water, a rarity powered by the ship's efficient boilers. The neo-Gothic chapel, with its vaulted ceiling and stained glass portholes, provided spiritual solace, its design minimizing echo through acoustic paneling. Sensory details abounded. The promenade's teak decks, varnished to a deep sheen, released a resinous aroma underfoot, while lounges invited with plush carpets that muffled the engine's distant thrum. Passengers' accounts vividly capture this allure, blending nostalgia with wonder. A 1927 traveler's letter home described, "One forgets the sea entirely, it's as if we've stepped into a grand hotel that glides effortlessly." From the Compagnie Générale Transatlantique's 1926 promotional booklet, the Île de France offers interiors of unparalleled modernity, where every detail whispers elegance. Even popular culture echoed this. The Song of Fine Romance quipped, "You're just as hard to land as the Île de France," immortalizing her elusive charm. Crew members, too, cherished the spaces, their logs noting how the design fostered a sense of home amid voyages. Yet, beneath this harmonious facade, subtle divisions simmered. What invisible barriers separated the revelers in splendor from those below? As the Île de France sliced through sapphire waves, an invisible wall cleaved her decks, segregating the gilded world of first-class luxury from the pragmatic realms of steerage, a microcosm of society straight afloat. On the upper promenade, under starry velvet skies, the night air whispered through open railings, carrying the faint melody of a string quartet from the salon below. Laughter tinkled like crystal glasses, while the deck's polished teak gleamed under moonlight, its surface cool and smooth beneath evening slippers. This elevated realm contrasted sharply with the lower decks, where the hum of ventilation fans mixed with the salty tang of the sea, and confined spaces echoed with diverse tongues. This division was engineered with precision, her deck plans a technical blueprint for social engineering that maximized capacity without compromising stability. First-class areas spanned expansive forward sections, with wide corridors and hydraulic elevators ensuring seamless flow, their mechanisms powered by the ship's electrical grid to minimize noise. Steerage, aft and below, utilized compact berths in ventilated holds, reinforced with bulkheads that doubled as sound barriers. Aesthetically, the contrast was stark. Opulent salons boasted silk wallpapers and ormolu clocks, their lighting from concealed fixtures creating intimate pools of warmth, while third-class quarters featured enameled steel and linoleum for durability, lit by practical portholes that framed the horizon's endless roll. The grand staircase, a spiral of wrought iron and glass, served as a visual anchor, its steps carpeted in crimson to muffle footfalls, symbolizing ascent through classes yet enforcing separation via discreet gates. Sensory immersion varied. In luxury, the aroma of roasted pheasant wafted from galleys, while in steerage, hearty stews simmered in communal kitchens, their steam carrying notes of garlic and bread. Human stories bridged these worlds, evoking nostalgia for an era of migration and aspiration. Elites like diplomats dined in splendor, their evenings filled with waltzes, while immigrants below shared dreams of American promise, children playing amid stacked luggage. A 1938 passenger diary recounted, "From my steerage bunk, I hear the faint music above, a reminder of worlds apart yet united by the sea." The company's brochure proclaimed, "The Île de France combines economy and efficiency for all classes, ensuring comfort tailored to every journey." Crew navigated these divides, stewards in crisp uniforms fostering harmony with quiet efficiency. Amid this stratified serenity, storms posed a unique challenge. How did the ship sustain its floating city when gales raged? In the teeth of a North Atlantic gale, the Île de France faced the Herculean feat of nourishing thousands, her galleys a battleground where culinary precision met the chaos of heaving seas. Waves crashed against the hull with thunderous roars, sending sprays of salt over portholes fogged with condensation, while the air below decks thickened with the mingled scents of baking bread and simmering stocks. Kitchens swayed like pendulums, pots secured by gimbals clanging rhythmically, and chefs braced against counters slick with spilled broth, their faces illuminated by the steady glow of electric ovens. This logistical marvel relied on advanced engineering tailored for endurance, with provisions stored in refrigerated holds cooled by ammonia systems that maintained 35-degree Fahrenheit temperatures, preserving perishables for week-long crossings. Galleys spanned multiple decks, connected by dumbwaiters powered by electric motors, ensuring swift delivery despite rolls up to 20 degrees. Water distillation plants, drawing from the sea, produced 200 tons daily, filtered through charcoal beds for purity. Aesthetically, dining venues adapted seamlessly. The first-class restaurants' tables, bolted to floors with rubber dampeners, featured linen cloths that whispered under silverware, chandeliers swaying gently to cast dancing shadows on frescoed ceilings. Steerage mess halls, with communal benches of varnished oak, emphasized functionality, their portholes admitting glimpses of foam-capped waves. Sensory details intensified in storms, the vibration of turbines below merged with the creak of straining timbers, while aromas battled the intrusive brine, coffee's bitterness cutting through the damp. Crew and passengers' tales highlight this orchestrated chaos, blending resilience with fond recollection. A galley hand's account from a 1930s squall described securing crates as a dance with the devil, yet we served hot meals without fail. Captain's logs from such events noted, provisions held steady, morale buoyed by the unyielding flow from our kitchens. The New York Times, covering a stormy voyage, reported, despite gales, the Île de France's passengers dined in comfort, a testament to her self-sufficiency. Menus from 1935 luncheons listed delicacies like consommé and roast beef, evoking an era when even tempests couldn't dim the ship's hospitality. As sustenance flowed unbroken, Glamour drew the famous. Who were the luminaries that etched her halls into legend? As the Île de France reached her zenith in the interwar years, celebrities flocked to her decks, weaving personal myths into the ship's lore and turning her corridors into corridors of intrigue and glamour. In the softly lit lounges after dusk, the air shimmered with the haze of cigarette smoke and the subtle clink of champagne flutes, while the ocean's gentle roll outside portholes added a rhythmic undertone. Velvet curtains framed alcoves where whispers lingered, and the polished brass railings gleamed under subdued lamps, casting long shadows that danced like specters along paneled walls scented with aged oak and faint perfume. This allure stemmed from engineering that prioritized passenger comfort, with stabilizers reducing motion to a mere whisper, allowing uninterrupted soirees even in moderate swells. The hull's robust construction, with its compartmentalized design, ensured safety that emboldened the famous to travel without fear. Navigation aids, including radio direction finders, kept her on course, freeing minds for revelry. Aesthetically, the ghostly halls were masterpieces of design. Art Deco motifs in etched glass created illusions of depth, while indirect lighting from coal fixtures evoked an otherworldly glow, turning passageways into elegant labyrinths. Salons featured murals of mythical seas, their colors vibrant yet soothing, and furniture of curved chrome invited intimate gatherings. Sensory immersion was key. The deck's vibration hummed like a distant heartbeat, merging with the lapping waves audible through open vents, while fresh sea air mingled with the floral notes from onboard conservatories. Stars like Cary Grant and Rita Hayworth graced these spaces, their presence elevating the ship's status. Grant's debonair charm in the smoking room, Hayworth's laughter echoing in the ballroom. Prince Rainier and Grace Kelly's honeymoon voyage added royal mystique. A passenger, J.M., reflected in a memoir, crossing on the Île de France was the happiest and friendliest way to cross, surrounded by luminaries who made the halls alive with stories. Newspapers chronicled sightings, one 1930s article noting, Hollywood's elite choose the French liner for its discreet luxury, where ghosts of past voyages seemed to join the festivities. Yet, fame offered no shield from nature's fury. What transpired on the night when the Atlantic nearly claimed victory? In the dead of a 1932 night, as rogue waves battered the Île de France's starboard side, the ocean mounted a ferocious assault that tested her mettle to the brink, nearly overwhelming this icon of the seas. Darkness enveloped the decks, broken only by the erratic flash of lightning, while howling winds whipped salt spray across railings slick with foam. The air grew heavy with ozone and brine, and the ship's superstructure groaned under the relentless pounding, portholes streaming with rivulets that blurred the raging horizon beyond. Her survival hinged on superior engineering. The hull's reinforced plating, up to an inch thick in critical areas, absorbing impacts that would splinter lesser vessels. Watertight doors, activated by hydraulic systems, sealed compartments swiftly, maintaining buoyancy as green water cascaded over the bow. Turbines throbbed steadily, their governors adjusting RPM to counter the drag of massive swells, while the rudder, enhanced by electro-hydraulic steering, held course against crosscurrents. Navigation during the maelstrom relied on barometric readings and dead reckoning, with the gyro compass unwavering amid magnetic disturbances. Aesthetically, interiors served as sanctuaries. Bulkheads lined with insulating cork muffled the external roar, allowing chandeliers to sway gently without shattering, their light casting reassuring warmth on teak floors that creaked but held firm. Cabins, with porthole covers battened down, enveloped occupants in a cocoon of silk and velvet, the faint scent of lavender from bedding cutting through the intrusive damp. Passengers huddled in fear, their diaries capturing the ordeal. One entry from that voyage reading, "The ship shuddered like a living thing, but held us safe in her embrace." Crew heroism shown, stewards distributed life vests calmly, as noted in the captain's log. Waves topped 50 feet, yet no panic ensued, thanks to drilled efficiency. The New York Times later reported on similar storms. The Île de France weathers tempests that sink others, her design a bulwark against the deep. Her role in the 1953 Greenville rescue, plucking 25 from icy waters, echoed this resilience. With the storm subdued, ambition resurfaced. How far could her turbines be pushed before they shattered? Under a veil of early morning fog in 1928, the Île de France's engineers dared to redline her turbines, chasing a speed that flirted with mechanical oblivion in pursuit of transatlantic glory. The engine room pulsed with heat, gauges flickering in the red under harsh bulb light, while the acrid smell of superheated oil mingled with the metallic tang of stressed bearings. Decks above trembled with increasing fervor, the bow slicing through mist-shrouded waves that parted like silk, leaving a foaming wake that stretched into the haze. This push exploited the turbine's full potential, 4 units generating 60,000 horsepower, their blades spinning at 3,000 RPM through geared shafts to propel quadruple screws with unyielding thrust. Fuel efficiency peaked at 23 knots, but for records, boilers surged to 350 pounds per square inch, risking rupture if valves failed. Vibration controls, rubber isolators and counterweights, strained to contain the fury, preventing harmonic resonances that could fracture the hull. Navigation demanded precision. Wireless updates from shore stations adjusted headings to exploit currents, maximizing velocity over the 3,000-mile route. Aesthetically, her profile aided the quest. The raked bow minimized wave resistance, funnels venting steam in streamlined plumes that trailed like banners of triumph, while the hull's fine lines, polished to a sheen, reduced friction to a whisper against the sea's embrace. Crew monitored every shudder, their logs immortalizing the tension. One entry stating, "Turbines at limit, 25.3 knots sustained, a symphony of power on the edge." Passengers felt the thrill, a traveler's account noting, "The ship flew, the ocean blurring beneath us. From Maxstone Graham's the only way to cross." Her speed trials marked an engineering pinnacle, blending French flair with raw might. Though she never claimed the blue ribbon, her bursts outpaced many, as period reports confirmed. As velocity soared, darker horizons loomed. When Wood War shadows eclipsed this pinnacle of peace. On September 3, 1939, as news of Britain's declaration of war crackled over the Île de France's wireless, her era of unbridled luxury abruptly ceased, giving way to the grim necessity of camouflage and military duty. Gray paint streaked her once elegant hull under overcast skies at New York Harbor, the air heavy with the chemical bite of fresh coatings and the distant wail of sirens. Decks, formerly alive with promenade strollers, now echoed with the hurried footsteps of crew stripping away finery, while the funnels loomed like somber sentinels against the gathering dusk. This transformation demanded swift engineering adaptations, converting a passenger liner into a troopship capable of ferrying thousands across hostile waters. Her turbines, retuned for endurance over speed, incorporated blackout modifications to exhaust systems, dimming telltale smoke plumes. Hull reinforcements added depth charges and gun mounts, with watertight integrity enhanced by additional bulkheads to withstand potential torpedo strikes. Navigation shifted to wartime protocols, employing zigzag patterns and radio silence, guided by encrypted gyro compasses. Aesthetically, the change was profound. Art Deco interiors were dismantled, chandeliers crated away, replaced by utilitarian bunks stacked in salons where velvet had once reigned. Teak decks, scarred by hasty alterations, lost their polished sheen, now trodden by soldiers' boots amid the faint, lingering scent of varnish mingled with gun oil. The grand staircase, once a symbol of ascent, became a functional artery for troop movements, its railings reinforced with steel grips. Evacuees and crew shared poignant moments amid the upheaval, families clutching belongings in steerage holds now filled with the aroma of canned rations. A passenger's letter from that fateful voyage described the ship so dimmed as war cloaked her beauty. The New York Times on September 10, 1939, reported, Île de France here with 1,777 aboard. Liner arrives from France with many Americans fleeing war zone, capturing the exodus of refugees. Captain's logs detailed the emotional toll, noting crew tears as peacetime elegance yielded to khaki anonymity. With luxury and memory, new threats emerged overhead. What distant roar foretold the sea's impending obsolescence? In the crisp autumn of 1956, as a jet's distant thunder echoed over the Île de France's decks during a routine crossing, passengers paused mid-conversation, gazing skyward at the harbinger that would soon eclipse oceanic voyages forever. Calm seas reflected the ship's graceful silhouette, but the air carried a new metallic tang from aviation exhaust trails streaking the blue expanse above. Lounges, bathed in afternoon light filtering through portholes, hummed with subdued chatter, the teak underfoot still warm from decades of service, yet shadowed by modernity's swift advance. This aerial rivalry exposed the liner's technical limitations against aviation's efficiency, where jets like the Comet have crossing times to mere hours, rendering the Île de France's 23-knot turbines relics of a slower age. Fuel consumption, once a boast, now highlighted inefficiency, her boilers guzzling oil while planes sipped kerosene aloft. Navigation evolved too, with air routes bypassing stormy latitudes that challenged her hull stability. Aesthetically, the ship's fading glamour contrasted starkly with sleek aircraft fuselages. Art Deco salons, with their crystal and chrome, evoked nostalgia, but lacked the novelty of airborne views through oval windows. Decks, where salt spray once invigorated, now seemed quaint against the sterile hum of pressurized cabins, the scent of sea giving way to recycled air. Passengers grappled with this shift, many choosing the liner for sentiment over speed, their diaries lamenting the loss. One 1950s traveler wrote, "The jet's roar mocks our leisurely pace, yet the sea's embrace lingers in memory." Her heroic 1956 rescue of Andrea Doria survivors, detailed in logs as 532 souls saved amid fog and panic, underscored enduring value, yet highlighted vulnerability. Newspapers chronicled the decline, a piece noting, air travel surges, leaving liners like the Île de France as echoes of a grander era. As bookings dwindled, finality approached. What emotions stirred on her ultimate voyage? On February 26, 1959, as the Île de France cast off from Le Havre for her last voyage, the crew's farewells carried a profound sorrow, marking the end of an era with tears mingling on rain-swept docks. Gray skies wept lightly over the harbor, where crowds in wool coats clustered, their voices a murmur against the deep, mournful blasts of the whistle. Mooring lines splashed into murky waters, and the funnels exhaled final plumes of smoke, scented with the familiar bite of oil, as the ship eased into the channel's embrace, her decks echoing with subdued footsteps. This swan song tested her aging systems one last time, turbines turning with a worry hum, their 60,000 horsepower now tempered by years of service, maintaining a dignified 20 knots. Hull plates, scarred from countless crossings, flexed against gentle swells, while navigation relied on radar sweeps piercing the fog, a far cry from her youthful wireless days. Conversions from wartime had left marks, reinforced bulkheads and stripped fittings, but her core engineering endured, boilers steady under reduced pressure to conserve fuel. Aesthetically, the profile retained its grace, the rake bow cut waves with quiet authority, funnels standing tall against the horizon, though paint flaked in places, revealing the patina of teak decks that released a faded, woody essence underfoot. Interiors, dimmed by time, still whispered of Art Deco splendor, with chandeliers casting muted glows on warm carpets, evoking ghosts of past galas. Crew members, many veterans of her glory, shared heartfelt goodbyes, polishing brass one final time amid the aroma of strong coffee in the galley. Passengers, a mix of loyalists and the curious, filled logs with sentiment, one diary entry lamenting, "She sails like an old friend waving farewell." The film's The Last Voyage, inspired by her fate, captured this poignancy, with scenes echoing real auctions of her fittings. Newspapers chronicled the end, a report stating, "The Île de France departs for scrapping in Japan, her legacy sold for steel." Yet, in this closure, echoes persisted. Why do these maritime phantoms continue to captivate our age? In quiet museum halls and the recesses of collective memory, the Île de France endures as a steel ghost, haunting modern imaginations with tales of elegance that transcend her scrapping in 1959. Under soft exhibit lights, artifacts gleam, polished brass from her bridge, fragments of Lalique glass catching prisms, while the air carries the subtle must of aged documents. Virtual tours recreate her decks, where digital waves lap eternally, evoking the salt-tinged breeze that once swept her promenades. Her influence permeates contemporary maritime design, turbines evolving into gas-powered successors on today's cruise ships, with hydrodynamic hulls echoing her efficient lines for reduced drag and enhanced stability. Vibration controls, refined from her innovations, ensure smooth voyages on vessels displacing over 200,000 tons. Navigation systems, building on her radio pioneers, now integrate GPS and AI for precision undreamed in her era. Aesthetically, Art Deco's clean geometries inspire modern interiors. Sweeping atria with glass elevators mimic her grand salons, materials like polished metals and exotic woods releasing similar luxurious scents. Restaurants aboard current liners, such as those modeled after her dining room, now preserved in Toronto's Eden Centre, blend nostalgia with innovation, chandeliers swaying gently over tables set with fine china. Historians and enthusiasts keep her spirit alive through stories, one curator noting in a recent book, "The Île de France bridged eras, her rescues and crossings a blueprint for resilience." From Maxton Graham's chronicles, she represented the pinnacle of French maritime art, influencing designs that still sail. Passenger descendants shared diaries, evoking an age when sea travel wove human bonds unbreakable by time. Thus, in our jet-dominated world, these ocean legends remind us of slower, soulful journeys, their wakes rippling eternally.